Welcome to our channel. Today's story isn't just about success, it's about hunger, heartbreak, and the stubborn courage that turns pain into power. Picture a tiny village in France, 1821. In a rickety wooden house, a baby named Louis Vuitton was born into poverty. His father was a carpenter and his mother a hat maker. They worked day and night, but there was never enough food or warmth. Winters were brutal, the roof leaked, and their clothes were thin. School was a luxury Louis could not afford. Instead, he learned to carry planks, hammer nails, and sweep sawdust. Skills that hardened his hands but sparked his curiosity. Louis watched travelers pass through with heavy trunks and fine clothes. Each trunk whispered a promise, a wider world, freedom, possibility. He wanted that life. He wanted to know who built those trunks and where those roadways led. At 10, tragedy struck. His mother fell ill and died. The family's light dimmed. His father, consumed by grief, drifted away. Louis felt utterly alone. In that silence, he made a decision. He would not accept a life of hunger and smallness. He would leave for Paris, the city of opportunity, even though it was nearly 470 kilometers away, and he had nothing but a small bag and a dream. At 13, he slipped away before dawn. He walked, he begged, he worked odd jobs for food. He slept under trees and in abandoned carts. Sometimes strangers fed him, sometimes he went hungry. Rain and winter winds tore at him. Still, he walked. 2 years passed in a blur of footfalls, villages, and hard lessons. His feet bled, his body grew thin, his resolve grew firmer. Finally, Paris rose out of the horizon. Gaslights, cobbled streets, hustling crowds, the scent of bakeries and perfumes. But Paris was not magic. It was loud, crowded, and cruel to those with no name and no money. For days, Louis searched for work and found doors shut in his face. One day, he spotted a man struggling with a heavy trunk. Louis sprang forward and helped carry it into a workshop. The owner, Monsieur Maréchal, noticed the boy's strength and offered him a chance, not as a craftsman, but as an apprentice. Louis accepted. He swept floors, fetched tools, and watched the masters with hungry eyes. Late one night, he practiced alone, cutting, stitching, smoothing edges. His early work was rough but honest. Maréchal noticed the care in Louis's hands. He began to teach him properly. Louis soaked up every skill: wood framing, leather selection, precise stitching, and finishing. By his 20s, Louis's work stood out. Wealthy clients began to request trunks made by him. Word spread. Vuitton's trunks were precise, elegant, and practical. But he was still working for another man. His heart wanted something his hands alone could own. Then the most extraordinary break came. Empress Eugénie entered the shop. She demanded a trunk that matched her life, practical for travel, elegant for a queen. Louis proposed something radical, a flat-topped stackable trunk made from lightweight wood and waterproof canvas. It would be durable, light, and easy to stack, a design no one had dared try. She approved. Louis poured days, nights, sweat, and single-minded focus into the project. When he presented the finished trunk, the Empress touched the canvas, inspected the locks, and declared it extraordinary. She made him her personal trunk maker. That endorsement changed everything. Orders flowed in, reputation soared, and for the first time, Louis tasted the life he had walked toward, the power of craft, the opening of doors once closed. But he also realized the limit. He still worked under someone else's name. The next step he would take alone. With the Empress's favor, Louis's reputation exploded. Aristocrats, diplomats, and wealthy travelers wanted trunks made by the hands that had impressed royalty. But Louis knew that to truly shape his destiny, he needed his own name on the sign above the door. After years of apprenticeship and savings scraped together, he made a bold move. He left Maréchal's workshop and opened a small shop of his own. One bench, a few tools, and a single fierce dream. The early days were grueling. Orders were slow, and the city's economy trembled with unrest. When the Franco-Prussian War erupted, Paris became a battlefield, and luxury purchases dried up. Louis sold tools and tightened belts to keep the little shop alive. It was survival by ingenuity. He worked longer hours, cut waste, and leaned on the loyalty of a few faithful clients. When peace finally returned, so did travel, and with it, a hunger for clever, reliable luggage. Louis seized the moment. In 1871, he opened a larger workshop in Angers. He hired apprentices, taught them his techniques, and turned the business into a small but growing operation. Each trunk that left his doors carried the hallmark of craftsmanship: measured joints, waterproofed canvas, and brass locks that sealed treasures inside. Louis's success was built on more than skill. He understood people and power. He didn't chase every customer. He courted the elite. If the nobility and influencers used Vuitton trunks, the wealthy would follow. He learned a lesson that would shape the brand forever. Exclusivity sells, and the wealthy rarely haggle over quality when prestige is on the line. Along the way, he married Clémence Émilie Perriot and became a father. Family brought comfort, but the shop demanded even more of him. Long nights in the workshop cut into house time. Yet Louis believed that the discipline of craft had a higher purpose. It would safeguard his family's future. Louis built not only trunks, but an idea that luggage could be practical and desirable. He protected his designs fiercely. When copies and cheap imitations began to appear, he knew the brand's value was in trust and uniqueness. To combat fakes, Georges, his son, later designed the iconic LV monogram, a simple, powerful signature that said, "This is authentic." That move changed the game. Time advanced, and so did the world. Automobiles and trains changed how people traveled. As trunks lost prominence, Louis's successors adapted the strategy. Smaller leather goods, handbags, and travel accessories broadened the brand's reach. The company expanded internationally and became synonymous with luxury. But success was never a straight line. Wars and economic storms kept testing the company. During World War II, the brand faced impossible choices under occupation. Decisions made then sparked controversy for decades. Still, the family business endured, weathering criticism and rebuilding its reputation in the post-war period. Each generation of the Vuitton family learned to balance tradition with reinvention, preserve the craftsmanship that made the name respected, while evolving product lines to match changing lifestyles. Georges and later Gaston introduced new designs that shifted Louis Vuitton from a trunk maker into a global fashion house. The creation of the Speedy and Keepall bags transformed luggage into daily accessories, making the brand indispensable to the elite and aspirational to others. By mid-20th century, the company had diversified into fashion, and its pieces began to appear in the hands of movie stars, tycoons, and trendsetters. Ownership passed down through family, and later, corporate reinvention. The house that started with a barefoot boy carrying a single bag now produced items that commanded respect and desire worldwide. Louis's story is not just about clever designs or market strategy. It's a story about a mindset. Refuse to be defined by your circumstances. Learn relentlessly, take bold, calculated risks, and protect the quality of your work. From sleeping in carts to receiving royal orders, every step taught him something essential about resilience. The legacy of Louis Vuitton is stitched from small decisions: the single-minded hours at a workbench, the courage to leave a village with nothing, and the discipline to perfect a craft. But legacy also carries complication, growth, controversy, and the difficult choices that come with power. After Louis's death in 1892, his son Georges carried the flame. Georges expanded the company's horizons, designing products, expanding workshops, and protecting the brand against counterfeiters. He introduced innovations and pushed Louis Vuitton beyond luggage into leather goods and fashion accessories. The LV monogram, created in 1896, became a clever shield against fakes and a symbol of distinction that customers recognized instantly. As the brand grew in the 20th century, so did its cultural footprint. Louis Vuitton goods became status markers in cities from Paris to New York. The company opened stores, connected with influential clients, and adapted to modern life. Handbags became daily essentials, not just travel tools. The brand's reach widened as film celebrities, socialites, and tastemakers embraced Vuitton pieces. Their visibility turned a maker of trunks into an icon of high fashion. But the ride wasn't without storm clouds. Economic depressions, world wars, and changing public sentiment tested the company's resilience. During World War II, business decisions under occupation left long shadows and brought controversy that historians still discuss. History is messy, and the sculpture of success often bears cracks you can only see up close. Still, the company persevered. The post-war era demanded cleverness, catered to a recovering economy while keeping exclusivity intact. Louis Vuitton survived and adapted. Modern Louis Vuitton is the product of generations choosing reinvention. Gaston and later leaders embraced new materials, fashion lines, and collaborations that kept the brand fresh. The Speedy bag, the Keepall, and later creations became staples, and the house adapted with modern marketing, celebrity endorsements, and strategic retail expansion. Each new product was a conversation between tradition and the contemporary, honoring the wood and canvas roots while answering changing lifestyles and technology. What does this teach creators, entrepreneurs, and learners? First, resilience matters more than raw talent. Louis walked hundreds of miles with an empty stomach, but each step taught him humility, discipline, and the need to observe the world closely. Second, learn from masters. Louis's apprenticeship set a foundation. Skills you can't buy, only earn through repetition and patience. Third, protect your craft. Authenticity and quality are your defense against imitation and fleeting trends. Fourth, cultivate patrons and relationships that amplify your work. For content creators, these lessons are practical. Tell stronger stories, earn trust through consistent quality, and serve a niche audience deeply before trying to scale. For language learners, Louis's life is a rich source of vocabulary that matters: perseverance, craftsmanship, innovation, reinvention. Practice using these words to describe a struggle you've overcome. It helps internalize lessons and language at the same time. Now imagine that barefoot boy again, the miles behind him, the Empress's touch, the smell of glue and canvas in a small Paris workshop. Imagine his hands, once raw from village labor, shaping brass locks and stitching seams that would travel the world. He chose to learn, to risk, and to remain excellent. That choice turned a hungry child into a maker of desire. If this story inspired you, try retelling it. Record a short version, write a script, or teach the narrative to a friend. Practice speaking the key lines aloud. It helps your English and your storytelling. Remember, success is rarely sudden. It's the result of years of small, persistent actions. Louis's life shows how steady focus, craft, and a willingness to change can build something that lasts. Thank you for watching. Keep walking toward your own Paris.